world of Go, there is a term known as sacrificial defense, and a move where a player willingly gives up an important piece in order to preserve the larger position on the board. In geopolitics, the sacrificed piece may be Iran, a nation now bearing the heavy shock of a full-scale military campaign. But what happens if that piece is not just a partner, but also your energy lifeline and your only strategic outpost in one of the most volatile regions on Earth? Over the past few days, as American and Israeli firepower rained down on Iran's military bases and naval fleets, the world held its breath, waiting for a decisive move of support from Beijing. Yet, instead of a relief fleet, what Tehran received was calculated silence and carefully worded neutral diplomatic messages. So the question becomes unavoidable. What does China do when its most important strategic partner in the Middle East comes under full-scale attack? The answer may surprise many observers. Beijing has largely chosen to stand aside and watch. And welcome back to New Era, where we break down and examine the most complex movements shaping our world today. If you are interested in military affairs, geopolitics, and analytical perspectives that rely not on emotion, but on structured reasoning and strategic logic, then this is exactly the place for you. Why would a rising superpower choose to stand on the sidelines when its own oil lifeline appears to be under threat? Is there a deeper calculation in Beijing's decision to remain an outsider in this escalating tension, perhaps to secure a different strategic advantage? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We would like to hear your perspective, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our latest analysis. Now, let's begin breaking it all down. According to Society and Diplomatic Review, the campaign known as Epic Fury, launched on February 28, 2026, delivered a devastating opening blow as U.S. electronic warfare systems effectively blinded and deafened Iran's entire radar network. This strike did not only flatten large portions of Iran's military infrastructure, it also sent shockwaves through the country's leadership with the reported death of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Amid the chaos that followed, Mojtaba Khamenei was immediately designated as his successor. However, according to updates reported by Iran International, Iran's state television unexpectedly referred to the new supreme leader as the Janbaz of Ramadan, a title typically reserved for individuals wounded in combat. This detail has raised new questions. Could even the most powerful figure in Tehran have become a casualty of U.S.-Israeli firepower at the very center of the conflict? In response to this strategic shock, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, launched Operation True Promise 4, along with another campaign codenamed Aliyan Wali Allah, deploying hundreds of drones and ballistic missiles toward neighboring Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC states such as the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain in an attempt to pressure key U.S. partners in the region. However, this retaliation may resemble a desperate effort, as Iran itself is now being shaken internally by a mounting economic front. The country's national currency is under severe pressure, while inflation continues to rise sharply. Economic sanctions, disruptions to oil exports, and increasing financial isolation have created a situation where economic crisis and military conflict reinforce each other. In many modern geopolitical confrontations, economic pressure can sometimes weaken a nation just as effectively as direct military strikes. The country is currently shaken by the protest movement described as the Winter Uprising, while its currency crisis has spiraled out of control, with inflation pushing the exchange rate to nearly 1.75 million rials per US dollar. Together, these pressures are fueling fears that the structure of the Iranian state itself could face systemic collapse. This internal instability does not only concern Tehran, it also places enormous strategic pressure on Iran's closest international partners. Faced with the potential downfall of its most important Middle Eastern partner, China's response has been strikingly cautious. Although President Xi Jinping has remained completely silent and has issued no public statement, Beijing's official position has nonetheless been communicated. According to Taiwan News, a spokesperson for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs posted a message on the platform X stating that Iran's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity must be respected, while also calling for an immediate halt to military actions and avoidance of further escalation. The absence of any stronger commitment and the reliance on carefully neutral diplomatic language suggests that Beijing may be genuinely shocked and hesitant in the face of the overwhelming deterrent power demonstrated by the U.S. military. The relationship between Beijing and Tehran has never been just about trade. It is a carefully calculated geopolitical chess game. According to analysis from the Hudson Institute, over the past decade, China has transformed Iran into a strategic pillar in the Middle East through a $400 billion cooperation agreement. Beijing not only absorbs nearly 90% of Iran's oil exports, but has also effectively armed the country with systems such as the Beidou Satellite Navigation Network, YLC-8B anti-stealth radar, and CM-302 supersonic missiles. Beijing's objective appears straightforward: to turn Iran into a massive strategic roadblock, forcing the United States military to remain entangled in Middle Eastern conflicts while China expands its influence across the Indo-Pacific region. Yet when this strategic peace actually came under attack, Beijing's response appeared strikingly subdued. According to the Center for China Analysis, China quickly withdrew its navy from joint exercises with Russia and Iran, while limiting its response to formal diplomatic statements urging restraint. Former U.S. Ambassador Nicholas Burns wrote on X that China was revealing itself as an unreliable partner. The potential collapse of Iran would therefore not only represent a defeat for Tehran, it would also expose the fragility of the anti-U.S. alignment sometimes referred to as CRINK. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. For Russia, Beijing's immediate withdrawal of its navy from joint exercises as soon as the conflict erupted serves as clear evidence that support commitments may be largely symbolic and can be set aside at any moment to safeguard national interests. Meanwhile, countries relying on Eastern military technology, such as North Korea, are facing a harsh reality. If Iran's radar systems and AI-based surveillance networks could be penetrated by the United States within just a few hours, then similar security shields may prove ineffective against advanced electronic warfare capabilities. But Beijing's silence may not necessarily reflect weakness. It could instead represent a calculated decision to step back and observe the battlefield. China may be willing to sacrifice the Iranian peace in order to turn the Gulf region into a vast intelligence laboratory. Modern wars generate enormous volumes of battlefield data, from radar signatures to electronic warfare responses, which can be invaluable for future military planning. Chinese surveillance satellites are believed to be monitoring the conflict closely, studying how the United States deploys F-35 aircraft, electronic warfare systems, and multi-domain combat operations under real battlefield conditions. From Beijing's perspective, every Iranian loss could generate valuable data for upgrading China's military capabilities ahead of a possible future confrontation with Washington around the Taiwan Strait. The crisis in Iran therefore represents far more than a conventional military setback. It also exposes a harsh reality behind the narrative of limitless friendship between Beijing and Tehran, but it may be too early to conclude that China is acting out of fear. A far more unsettling hypothesis exists. What if Beijing is deliberately allowing Iran to fall into crisis, turning the region into a real-world intelligence testing ground? What exactly might China be learning from American firepower in preparation for a far more dangerous scenario in the Taiwan Strait by 2027? How did Chinese-made weapon systems perform when confronted directly with advanced U.S. technology? And why might the death of Iran's supreme leader have sent a chill through the leadership compound at Zhongnanhai in Beijing? What are your thoughts on this issue? Feel free to share your perspective in the comments below. And the answer will be revealed in part 2, the Taiwan card and the truth about Chinese weapons. Don't forget to subscribe to New Era to be the first to watch the next episode. See you again in just a few minutes.